निर्मला सीतारमन बोल्ड रिफॉर्म्स कर पाएंगी या नहीं?
बोल्ड रिफॉर्म्स बिल्कुल कर पाएंगे और ये सरकार 100 दिन कंप्लीट भी हो गया। कोई भी अप्रीहेंशन का आवश्यकता नहीं है। जैसे पहले अच्छा जनता के लिए स्कीम्स हो या सिस्टमिक रिफॉर्म्स हो, वो सब बिल्कुल चलेगा।
100 दिन पूरे हो चुके हैं। आपसे एक सिंपल सवाल पूछना चाहता हूं, इस सरकार की क्या उपलब्धियां रही हैं इन 100 दिनों में? पहले भी बहुत बातें हुई थी, 100 डे एजेंडा भी बना था, क्या क्या अचीव कर पाए हैं अभी तक आप लोग?
अब सीधा देख लीजिए ना, फिनांस मिनिस्ट्री के विषय में ही
जी,
आप ओपीएस एनपीएस डिबेट, ओपीएस एनपीएस के डिबेट अभी मूव होकर के यूपीएस एक अच्छा सा ऑल्टरनेटिव आ गए हैं, जिसको पूरे सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट के एम्प्लॉइज फेडरेशन ऑफ यूनियंस वेलकम कर चुके हैं। मैं उनको पूरे मन से धन्यवाद भी कही पार्लियामेंट में ही बजट सेशन में। उसके बाद डिटेल्स ऑफ द यूपीएस हैज कम आउट, जिसको हर वर्ग वेलकम ही किया है। सो एकदम सीरियस और सेंसिटिव मामला, जिसके ऊपर आने वाले 20 साल का स्टेट और सेंटर के फाइनेंसेस के ऊपर सीरियस असर पड़ने वाले विषय है, उसका अच्छा सा सॉल्यूशन हमने निकल कर दिया। इसके अलावा अब देख रहे हैं कि विश्वकर्मा योजना के तहत गांव-गांव से जो छोटे-छोटे कामगार होते हैं, जो छोटे टूल्स के साथ उनके ट्रेडिशनल बिजनेसेस करते हैं, 18 ऐसे ट्रेड्स को उसमें लिस्ट किया गया है। उन सबको चुन करके 2.2 करोड़ का एनरोलमेंट हुआ है
जी।
और प्रधानमंत्री जी को पहला हिस्से में जितने भी लोग को देना है, वो स्कीम का शुरुआत, जिसमें ट्रेनिंग भी होगा, पूरे किट भी देंगे। वो ट्रेनिंग के समय हर दिन 500 रुपया भी उनको दे रहे हैं। ऐसे अंत्योदय के दृष्टि से जो हमारे पिछले 10 साल में एक्टिवली स्कीम्स आया था, वो भी चल रही है विश्वकर्मा की योजना से। और बजट में मानती हूं वो 5 ऐसे ट्रेनिंग और एम्प्लॉयमेंट के लिए स्कीम्स हमने ले आए, जिससे 1 करोड़ लोगों को ट्रेनिंग और इंटर्नशिप के द्वारा जॉब अपॉर्चुनिटीज भी मिलने वाले हैं 5 साल के अंदर। उसको हम रोल आउट कर रहे हैं। और इसके साथ साथ आप देख रहे हैं एमएसएमई के लिए, माइक्रो स्मॉल मीडियम एंटरप्राइजेस के लिए, लघु उद्योग के लिए हमने 8 ऐसे स्कीम नहीं बोलूंगी, रिफॉर्मेटरी स्टेप्स ले आए, जिसके वजह से उनको बैंक से अच्छा बिना कोलैटरल लोन मिलने का हमने फंड भी क्रिएट किया। और अब तक हमारे देश में एमएसएमई का मेन प्रॉब्लम यही था कि वर्किंग कैपिटल तो मिल रही है बैंक से, मगर हमें बड़े इंडस्ट्री जैसे टर्म लोन नहीं मिलता है, जिससे हम प्लांट एंड मशीनरी का भी इन्वेस्टमेंट बैंक से ले पाएंगे। उसको भी हमने बिना कोलैटरल आज टर्म लोन देने के लिए व्यवस्था बन चुके हैं, जो बजट स्पीच के दौरान भी आए। ऐसे बिजनेस आगे बढ़ाने के लिए, लिक्विडिटी हर एक को मिलने के लिए, उनका रिटेल लोन हो, पर्सनल लोन हो या ऐसे बिजनेसेस का लोन हो, उन सब का सुविधा भी हमने घोषणा की।
क्या इस तीसरे कार्यकाल में, क्योंकि आपकी कोएलिशन सरकार है, क्या आपके ऊपर कुछ दबाव है? इस बार बजट बनाते वक्त निर्मला सीतारमन क्या सोच रही थी? आपने बिहार के लिए और क्या कहते हैं आंध्र प्रदेश के लिए सॉप्स भी दिए हैं, आपने फार्मर सॉप के बारे में बहुत सारी बातें की हैं, तो क्या पहले से कुछ फर्क हुआ है, कुछ बदलाव आया है कि इस तरह का भी एक रोल बैक सरकार का भी आप लोगों के लिए कहा जाता है कि आप लोग कुछ करते हैं फिर रोल बैक कर देते हैं, तो किसी तरह का कोई दबाव है क्या? मैं ये समझना चाह रहा था।
मुझे नैरेटिव सेट करने वाले और उसके आगे बढ़ाने वाले, उसमें एक आध मीडिया के लोग भी हैं, मैं छोड़ूंगी नहीं उस बात को। मीडिया के द्वारा आगे बढ़ाने के लिए ऐसे एजेंडा सेट करने वाले तो पूरे उनके परफॉर्मेंस हाई लेवल पर है। नैरेटिव सेट करो, फिर सरकार उसको एक्सप्लेनेशन करते जाएगी या डिफेंड करते जाएगी, ये तो चल रही है और बेबुनियाद बहुत सारे नैरेटिव आ रही है। इसमें ये एक यू टर्न का मामला भी हुई है जी। यू टर्न कहां हुआ? मेरे मंत्रालय के विषय में मैं बोल रही हूं। जब हर बजट के समय पर पिछले 5 बजट्स में बजट पेश करने के बाद पूरे देश भर घूम करके चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट्स हो, टैक्स एक्सपर्ट्स हो, इंडस्ट्री, चेंबर ऑफ कॉमर्स हो, सबसे बात करके पेश किया हुआ बजट के ऊपर सुझाव ले आकर के ट्रेशरी अमेंडमेंट्स हम करते थे, जिससे मुझे याद है, बिल्कुल याद है, एक बार शुरुआत में लोग हमसे पूछते थे ये क्या है, अभी बजट पेश हुआ और रिसेस के बाद सेकंड सेशन शुरू हो रही है बजट का, उस समय आप इतने सारे अमेंडमेंट्स ले आ रहे हैं जी। मैं डिफेंड भी किए, अमेंडमेंट्स इसीलिए ले आ रहे हैं, सुझाव जनता से जब आता है हम उसको अपनाते हुए उसको करेक्शन के रूप में ले आ रहे हैं। ये इंडेक्सेशन के मामले में, कैपिटल गेन्स और इंडेक्सेशन के मामले में हमने जनता का आवाज सुनने के बाद, ऑल्दो पहले जब ले आए पूरे कंसल्टेशन के बाद ही ले आए जी। हर असेट क्लास को एक जैसे ट्रीटमेंट देना है इसीलिए ले आए जो प्रस्ताव था, मगर जब सुझाव आए हमने सिर्फ प्रॉपर्टी के लिए इंडेक्सेशन का ऑप्शन भी रखा जी। और बजट में जो ऑप्शन हमने ले आए, क्योंकि हर एक एसेट क्लास को एक ही जैसे ट्रीटमेंट के लिए उसको भी रखा और चॉइस दिया एसएससी को कि आप इन दोनों में वर्कआउट करो और जो आपको कम लगता है वो उपयोग करो। ये थोड़ी ना यू टर्न है। नो, गवर्नमेंट हैज यू टर्न, दिस इज नॉट यू टर्न, आई एम अकोमोडेटिंग द सजेशन व्हिच इज कम फ्रॉम पीपल, उनके बेहतरी के लिए। सो इसमें यू टर्न का नैरेटिव हमारे ऊपर डालने वाले से मैं पूछना चाहती हूँ, आपके अंडरस्टैंडिंग क्या है यू टर्न का? इसीलिए उस नैरेटिव को आई रिक्वेस्ट द मीडिया, आप भी आगे बढ़ाना है तो समझ लीजिए पहले उसमें सच्चाई है कि नहीं तो बढ़ाना बंद करिए।
नहीं, इंडेक्सेशन वाला अप्रिशिएट भी बहुत किया गया। एक चीज ये समझने की कोशिश है कि और जो बोल्ड रिफॉर्म्स है, जैसे वन नेशन वन पोल जो कि प्रधानमंत्री ने जिसके बारे में बात की है, क्या इसको आप आगे बढ़ा पाएंगे इस सरकार में?
इसमें कंसल्टेशन पूरे हो चुका है जी। और इसमें ये भी है, जनता मान रही है कि खर्च इतना हो रही है, साल भर हो रही है, हर राज्य में हो रही है, पंचायत के स्तर पर हो रही है, फिर भी इन सब का असर दूसरे एक विषय है जिसमें हम सब ध्यान देना चाहिए। हर चुनाव के 3 महीने पहले और 3 महीने बाद तक रिजल्ट आने, 3 महीने नहीं, रिजल्ट आने तक कोई डेवलपमेंटल एक्टिविटी उस एरिया में नहीं हो पाता है। देन यू सीक परमिशन फ्रॉम इलेक्शन कमीशन, ये प्रोजेक्ट तो पहले से है, इसको चलने दीजिए, वो एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन का एक और हिस्सा बन जाता है। इसलिए ऐसे डेवलपमेंटल एक्टिविटीज का रुकावट बार बार होना और हर चुनाव का उनके स्तर पर खर्च उठाना, ये सब नेशनली अवॉइडेबल एक्सपेंडिचर जी। इसीलिए वो आइडिया का इनपुट इतने सारे और एक उच्च स्तरीय कमेटी के द्वारा, पूर्व राष्ट्रपति जी के कमेटी सुझाव आए हैं, जरूर इसको आगे
तो
बढ़ाना चाहिए।
सरकार कमिटेड है, इसको आगे लेकर जाएगी,
देश के हित में जरूर करना ही है।
एक नेशन वाइड कास्ट सेंसस की भी बात ऑपोजिशन ने बहुत की थी चुनाव के समय में, सरकार का क्या मत है इस पर?
इसमें पहले से हम बोल रहे हैं और बजट के समय में हम उसके साथ चल रहे हैं, हम उसके खिलाफ है, इस विषय से मैं ताल्लुक नहीं रख रही हूं अभी। सिर्फ इसीलिए मैं बोल रही हूं, बजट के द्वारा, इंटरिम बजट के द्वारा हमने स्पष्ट ये बात बोले, 4 ऐसे कास्ट है जिसके ऊपर ध्यान देना चाहिए, किसान, गरीब, महिला और युवा। सो इन चारों को हम अगर प्रोत्साहन देंगे, इसमें हर जाति शामिल है, हर जाति को आगे बढ़ाने के लिए इस रास्ते पर चलने में हम उस नजरिया से डेवलपमेंट को प्रायोरिटी देंगे, ना कि डिविजन बिटवीन वन कास्ट एंड अनदर। इस रास्ते पर माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने वोट ऑन अकाउंट बजट में ही हमने इसका स्पेसिफिकली मेंशन भी किया है।
जी, I'll ask you a few questions on the economy since I have you captive today. The GDP growth in Q1 at 6.7%. My question is the economy slowing down?
You know, it's easy to catch every month or every quarter's figure and say it's not 7, it's not 8. And then the reason for 6.7 had also come out. The chief economic advisor has also mentioned that because of elections, the capital expenditure which was announced, 11 lakh crores, slightly over it, didn't find much of an expenditure happening in the quarter 1 because every department was probably looking at post-election time. As a result, the large chunk of influence or impact which could have been had because of the public expenditure was muted. And therefore, to that extent, it shows in the quarter 1 numbers. But subsequently, quarter 2 and we are in the third quarter, the expenditure will pick up and that will, I suppose, trigger the little slowing down that you suspect to move faster.
India remains one of the fastest growing economies of the world. Given right now that, there is some soft GDP growth and the inflation is also moderate, do you think there is a case for monetary easing? I'm asking for your view.
Yes, my view being said here will become Finance Minister expects RBI to bring it down. I don't want to add to that. RBI is doing its full analysis and taking a call. And therefore, I expect them to look at the economy as a whole, both for growth and for inflation.
It's election season. We have 4 state elections coming up. I wanted to ask you a question around freebies. How concerned, how worried are you about political parties promising freebies? Prime Minister was the one who really took this up, spoke against the Revdi culture in a big way. But now I see that some of your governments are doing exactly the same thing. In Madhya Pradesh, we had Ladli Bahna. Now we have Subhadra that is being announced tomorrow in Odisha. Then again in Maharashtra. How dangerous is this trend? And what is your message of fiscal prudence to the states?
Look, let me be clear. I've been saying this much before the debate on the Lok Sabha issues. Manifesto-related issues came up. Every state and the center will have to look at the work which is capable of being undertaken by every government, meaning center, any party aspiring to get to the center or aspiring for state government's positions will have to understand what that budget is capable of taking up. Will that state be in a position to undertake its developmental activities plus all the freebies and get it funded through the budget in the assembly, get it clear in the assembly or in the parliament, and then announce schemes. Now, what I find is when offerings are made, freebies are given for temptation. And then when states struggle to implement them because they don't have the resource, they don't even have ways in which they can increase their revenue, then comes the problem. Classic example is of Karnataka and Himachal Pradesh, where even without doing their homework, they gave a lot of promises. Look at what has happened between the two states. In Himachal Pradesh, what is the halat? And this is not because I'm sitting as a BJP member or currently in the central government. The state government themselves have been saying that they are just not able to cope with it.
They can't pay salaries.
They can't. And they were going to pay OPS, pension, the old pension scheme. They're not able to pay current salaries. They offered to go through the OPS back again. And Karnataka, unbelievable number of promises. And today the state government, the chief minister's advisor and one of the chief minister's assistant and the deputy chief minister, all of them said, no, we can't undertake developmental activities. Now, what is that? Are we being responsible at all? Eventually, as a government, You're responsible to run the states, and every one of them, both Himachal Pradesh and Karnataka, are raising revenues. Whereas the Congress president would look at the prime minister and say, global prices, petroleum, crude prices are coming down. Will you not bring the petroleum prices down? In your state, you increased it only a few months ago, even 1 month ago. So constantly blaming, and this is the another narrative setting business. They'll go on asking questions, whereas what they perform is contrary to it. But a narrative, Modi ji, aapne ye nahi kiya, wo nahi kiya, so everybody joins the bandwagon. Do your homework before you join the bandwagon. Ask them the questions. A state which was doing well, Karnataka, is now gone back. A state which used to be the haven of tourism, Himachal, is unable to pay its own staff.
How can you prevent this? Is there some way to, today what is happening to Karnataka and Himachal could well happen to the BJP ruled states as well. One trying to outdo the other in announcing sort of freebies. So is there any other solution to it? Could the EC intervene? Is there some kind of something that the judiciary could do?
So parties themselves will have to be a lot more responsible, looking at what they can fund and what they cannot. And if they want to fund it, it can't be at others' cost. I want to fund it, but Modi is not giving me the funds for it, is a bad logic.
You are talking about narrative setting. The opposition has accused you of jobless growth. They've talked about crony capitalism. Recently, Rahul Gandhi in the US also says that your government has ignored manufacturing. How do you react to something like this?
It's very difficult to react to Rahul Gandhi, not because he says things with content. I think in spite of being, and despite becoming the leader of opposition, he's still talking as though he can be careless and just throw anything at the ruling party and get away with it. As a leader of opposition, unless he's going to acquire some seriousness about the kind of issues he's talking, both in India and abroad, I'm sure the people of India also will become hopeless about him. I'm sure he doesn't want that.
He's also said that elections are not free but controlled. After his performance really was much better this elections, seats doubled to 99. How do you see that?
He wouldn't say that when he wins the election in some of the states. I'm sorry, Rahulji. Media seems to just do this business of asking questions of us. For all the inconsistencies, for all the hypocrisies, and for all the double-speak, I'd like to see one day honest media asking questions of the Congress party. Don't tell me, don't shoot the messenger. Don't tell me we are only the messengers, we ask these questions. Not a day have I found any media having a serious conversation with Rahul Gandhi or any of the Congress party's leader. But that's not to say you're not capable of doing it. You're probably avoiding a situation where they will embarrass you and the rest of the media because they're going to just be on your face speaking falsehood. So this is what one has to expose about the Congress party. When results are in their favor, everything is good. When BJP wins the election, elections are not fair. Till before the election results came, Election Commission was accused. When the election results came and they just managed to touch 100 and nowhere were they together, able to reach to 40, that 100 excited them. Then the Election Commission is not wrong. But what are all these? Do you want to take a leader of opposition seriously or not? Does this country deserve a serious opposition? I thought the outcome of 2024 election was that the government of the day will have to get going with a lot more work. And the opposition was given a bit more stature with a decent number to go sit in the opposition and do the job of the opposition. No. We are excited about it and we'll go around the world speaking against the country. And somebody, of course, nowadays it's a world of social media. Everybody puts things out. Even Mrs. Gandhi wouldn't want to do it outside the country. Here we go, but we sit and accuse the country for everything going out.
Speaking of people in social media talking against the country, do you, Nirmalaji, feel that there is some kind of, you sense some kind of international conspiracy to bring down the Modi government?
All over the world, there is this attempt to change regimes. All over the world. This year, particularly, you see there are 50 countries going, 48 to 50 countries going to the election.
Yes.
The narrative in each of the country is this. Everybody who's in serious politics, running political parties, are all saying, are we having our democratic process working within this country? Or are we having democratic processes being influenced by something else? Or when you say something else or somebody else, it's not a direct participation. There are people within their respective countries who play this role happily. But that is where I think democracies will have to now look at how to handle this situation in a more matured fashion.
Thank you, Nirmala. I'll just move to equity markets. You know, a bike showroom recently the IPO of a bike showroom was oversubscribed 400 times. You know, that of a mattress company was oversubscribed 1,000 times. You know, the equity markets today are at an all-time high. You know, what is your view on the state of play of equity markets today? And what is your advice to day traders?
Well, I'll first of all say we'll have to encourage the markets to be robust, no doubt. But particularly when speculative activities are too much, there needs to have a sense of caution in our minds. We need to have it. And we also need to make sure that people with their savings don't go to engage in high fluctuating or high risk ventures. No harm in participating in F&O or no harm in going and investing in the equity market. But eventually we need to be using financial information, authentic information before we take a call.
You know, I asked this question with a little bit of care. You know, I think that, you know, I sense that the RBI is concerned about the lending spree by, you know, these fintech companies. I also see SEBI concerned about discount brokers, zero broking. You know, so in that context, is there some kind of a bubble building up? Is there irrational exuberance happening?
That's exactly what the SEBI referred to, and I've also remotely once mentioned about it. There needs to be a bit of caution on it. But that's not to suffocate the market. That's not to suffocate people who want to go and engage themselves there. It's not at all to suffocate, but it also is a note of caution so that people don't end up losing money, which they don't go to actually, but understand the full risk and then engage.
Okay. Finance Minister, Ms. Madhuri Puri Bhuj was one of the rare pedigreed professionals from the private sector who got drafted into the government, into this regulatory role as SEBI chairman. What is your assessment of the situation involving Madhuri Puri Bhuj?
Well, I think quite a few of the allegations are being answered by her and by her husband, I think also.
Yes.
Both of them together are defending themselves and putting out facts to contradict those which are being alleged by the Congress party. So I think the facts will have to be taken on board.
And are you satisfied with her answers?
Well, I'm not here to judge that.
A question that everyone wants an answer from you. Can income tax payers expect a lowering of income tax rates? You know, the middle class has been expecting this directionally. How do you see this going forward? When will the internal committee's report on the review of Income Tax Act be ready?
Rahul, I want to take this opportunity to explain a few things.
Sure.
Since 2019, the attempt has been to simplify the direct taxation. The attempt has been to make sure that we make the whole process simpler. And that is why after much of a discussion, a new regime was brought in, wherein right from the beginning, the rates were kept low. And we gave the option to the assessees that if they want with exemption a regime, so that they think they've made long-term plans for taking insurance cover or for the EMI, and therefore they need their exemptions, they could continue with the old scheme. the new scheme was without any exemptions. It was first without standard deduction, and later again, when we heard people's voices, we brought in the standard deduction as well. Now, during the vote on account, again, a lot of consultation, not widely as much as the whole, general budget time consultations happen. But July budget, we had again had a lot of discussions and brought the rates down for middle class. In fact, people with higher income brackets were pushed up towards the lower rates.
Right.
Not one rate was increased. Yes. And the standard deduction for the new regime was increased from 50 to 75,000. So if anything, keeping the middle class in mind, Honorable Prime Minister had in July budget said that the rates be brought down and more slightly higher income also get covered under the lesser rates. So keeping in mind the middle class is what we have done through the new regime, both in terms of increasing the standard deduction and in terms of bringing the rates down. Now, there are very many other things that we are doing for the middle class as well.
Yes.
Now, I understand there are people, middle class, who feel that the rate reduction which is happening for the new scheme should also be available for the old. The enhancement in the standard deduction, which is offered for the new, should also apply to the old. The new regime was brought in consciously to simplify, reduce, and make it easy for complying. The income tax manual is like this. You have to search for everything, every provision.
Yes.
We wanted to simplify that. All the exemptions and the provisions which are given for it will have to be removed. And therefore, we brought the new regime. So I would humbly request that, and again, it's not as if we brought something and we're talking about it. More than 78% people have moved from the old to the new regime.
Yes.
Which means people are seeing the point of being in the new regime, although we are not compelling anyone to come from the old regime to the new. So keeping in mind the middle class, for rate reduction, for better standard deduction, because the uniqueness of income tax, not just in India, anywhere, is when you give a certain income bracket, a certain rate, suppose you say 0 to 5 lakhs, no tax, nil. That up to 5 lakhs, you don't need to pay a tax, is not just for those who are earning 5 lakh. It will apply to the first 5 lakh of a person who's earning 150 lakhs also. So it is a benefit given keeping in mind the poor, the middle class. But it will apply to anyone who's got higher. Naturally, that's the law of the country, and that's the, a common sense argument. So that benefit given to a middle class will also fill in into everybody's income who's in the higher net worth also. So that is why the exemption, standard deduction, has been increased, which will be only for the salaried class. So we are looking at various ways in which the middle class will be given the benefit, and the higher net worth are not getting benefit because of that, and therefore, we let them go simply. That doesn't happen. Right. So the ways in which we are bringing these, reductions to benefit the middle class are being carefully looked into, and only then we are taking a call. And now, up to 7 lakhs, there is no tax to pay.
GST was one of the boldest reforms of this government. My question is that, can we expect some more stability and certainty with GST rates in time to come? World Bank had done a study of 115 countries. Almost 50 countries just had a single slab. Another 30 countries probably had a 2-rate structure, but we still have 5. 0, 5, 12, 18, 26. So is there some rationalization that you're looking at in time to come?
Yes, the group of ministers is working on it. About GST, there are two things. One, to bring the rates down further, simplify it, and put essential goods into one category, which is the lowest. But the ways in which this has to be done will have to be decided by that group of ministers first, and then the council, which looks into the recommendation. All these are part of the simplification and rationalization of the GST.
Finance Minister, quick commerce is quite a rage these days. There are new startups, Zepto, Blinkit, Swiggy, Instamart, Flipkart Minutes. Does your party worry about the impact of this on Kirana stores or the local banya, which is your core vote base? One of your cabinet colleagues had also said that 50% of retail traders e-commerce is not a subject of great pride. It could be some concern because there could be some social disruption. How do you see this phenomena?
Yes, it is important to take care of the small traders, the retailers, not just because they are people with a lot of, membership and also sympathy for the BJP, not because of that. This country needs that kind of support for small and medium industries and for small traders in particular. The retailers need all the help. And because of predatory pricing or deep pockets, their businesses are getting affected, we'll have to give a serious thought. And the Commerce and Industry Minister is fairly seized of this matter.
Right. Next financial year, the fiscal deficit target set is 4.5% of GDP. Are you confident of being able to live within this target?
Yes, I'm confident and I'm hopeful.
Before I let you go, just a couple of questions. One on Tamil Nadu. In 2026, Tamil Nadu goes to state elections. Would you look at some kind of an alliance with AIA, DMK, considering that this time your Lok Sabha elections, your performance was less than spectacular? Would there be a review of that?
Well, yes, the central party takes the call on alliances all over the country for every state and also for the national Lok Sabha elections and so on. Even for the state election, it will be the central party which will take a call on what should be at all on the alliance matter.
Okay. Do you think that the temples in Tamil Nadu should be freed from state control? Considering you have a state government which does not believe in the existence of God. Do you think that should be done?
Yes. Wherever temples are with the government, it should ideally be left to the
devotees and
the devotees. It should be managed by well-wishers, devotees in the place, rather than be kept in the government's control.
Finance Minister, thank you so much for joining us. You always are very gracious, give us a lot of time, answer all the questions. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, a big hand to Nirmala Sitharaman.